what they have to say. Something that's unpacking in New Hampshire that I think is very interesting is the second, third, and fourth position for New Hampshire on the Republican side. Obviously, we only have two on Democrats, but Kasich is coming in second with 16% at 9,091 votes, and so now his investment, and then Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz are tied for. So there was a break. They were tied for second, but now John Kasich has really jumped ahead of them. So the real story coming out of this is John Kasich, his investment in New Hampshire. Do you feel like this investment, and we can go around the room, you know, how much time does this buy John Kasich? Because up until tonight, he was on his last leg. I'll go with Nick. Okay, go with David, and then this, and then Noah or anyone else.
I don't know how long it'll buy him as far as Kasich goes. What I was actually going to say regarding New Hampshire and the Republicans is it'll be interesting to see who voted for which candidate, what the demographics were, what the party affiliations were, because, and I had said this to you earlier, Ben, New Hampshire's unique in that, and I don't think it's the only state, but this early on, they have independents voting. So it'll be interesting to see what that part of the electorate actually goes for, whether Kasich's getting Republicans or if he's getting independents, and I think that can say a lot for the future part of the Republican side.
And actually, David, let me throw this. You threw something at me on Twitter that there were 60% of the Republicans who voted in the exit survey, exit polling, said that they supported Donald Trump's position on Muslims, on banning Muslims. Give that to me real quick, if you have that.
I was going to bring that up. 66%. Where is it? It was Huffington Post that I had. An exit poll. 66% of GOP primary voters support banning Muslims from entering the U.S.
So yeah, that clearly explains why Donald Trump has a solid win in New Hampshire, and also should be a little concerning for anyone who lives near New Hampshire. All right, so Nis, I want to go to you next. John Kasich is coming in a strong second. Let me not say a strong second. He's standing above third and fourth with a pretty sizable, 4 points. It's pretty healthy. What do you think that says for his campaign? How much longer do you think that's going to buy him some time? Because he was pretty much, he was almost dead on arrival when he got to New Hampshire.
Well, I think from a GOP strategy point of view, as the governor of Ohio, the biggest swing state in the general election, the establishment, the GOP establishment, would love to throw everything in the kitchen sink behind Kasich to try and take out Trump. So if he does well here, if they are just halfway smart, they will bet the farm on him in the next two states as well. Because Kasich, we talk about independence now in the same vernacular as we did in the 90s, where independents in America made up about 20 to 30% of the electorate, where today independents are actually the bigger demographic in elections. The Republican Party membership is about a third, and Democrats is a little below a third, and the rest identify as independents. So 40% of U.S. population identify as independents, and a ton of these people are former Republicans, because after the Bush years, they left the party because the party left them. After the do-nothing Congress for 8 years, they left the party. And after the Tea Party got extreme, because we got to remember the Tea Party for the first couple of months anyway, the crazy people hadn't taken over the Tea Party yet, and the Koch brothers hadn't thrown billions of dollars at them yet. But they left. They all left because there was no sanity left. And Kasich did a speech a month ago in which he said, what has happened to the GOP? We are actively advocating banning a religious denomination. We are talking about shredding Social Security and reducing or removing the minimum wage. Have we gone nuts? And it was not very widely publicized, but I think the internet actually took care of that, because even in the Bernie Sanders echo chamber, I heard about it on, I have like 4,000 friends on Facebook I'm up to, and I mean they are more or less all of them are Bernie supporters. There's about a couple of hundred Hillary supporters, and I heard of it in there. So.
Well, what about that, Noah? What about this John Kasich trying to appeal to some common sense humanity in this party that, to me, is saying we don't want this. We want Donald Trump. We want to support his policy of banning Muslims. The Marco Rubio is down. Jeb Bush never got up. I think they could.
Oh, sorry.
I walked right into that one, boy. That was
That was
good. That was
good.
almost as bad as my Martin O'Malley last week. I mean, I had a double entendre on Martin O'Malley that was insane. But anyway, what about John Kasich? And he wants to appeal to common sense and some basic humanity. Does he stand a chance, in your opinion?
Does he stand a chance? No. Should he stand a chance? Yes. I think, unfortunately, the last decade has radicalized the right in a way that they let it go too far, and it's going to be really hard to pull back from that. I think that Kasich has the opportunity to, though, like Nice was saying, really pull from those people who became independents, or even those more middle-leaning Republicans who are tired of all the circus freak show absolutism. I mean, yeah, you can't just ban people from coming in here. I mean, truthfully, especially when we look at all the studies and stuff, the real threat is a domestic threat, and they're not praying 5 times a day to Allah. So, I mean, I really think that Kasich, I mean, I kind of was upset. I lived in Ohio previously. Kind of was upset when Chet Strickland lost to him. But I think in terms of, as we're looking at that field, he's probably really the only one that I can get with, I guess, in terms of a possible Republican candidate. I mean, he makes sense. There are some things that he does. I don't feel like the country would be absolutely doomed if he were to rule, but unfortunately, you have a lot of people who are voting. They're not voting based on what is good for them or what is good for their community. They're voting based on who they hate the most. But I think that to an extent they're a vocal group, but I don't know how representative. I know we see polls and stuff, but I don't really know how representative, especially that Fox News polling, really is of America. I know a lot of people are struggling. So I think Kasich on the right offers a good logical option for people who can be reasonable and can get past the I hate Muslims thing. It's actually sad and unfortunate how many people are willing to vote based on hating Muslims when that's not even the biggest threat to life right now.
That's the most amazing thing. Let me go over to Hank. To Hank. So I have Ben Carson is at 2%. Carly Fiorina is at 4%. And then of course Marco Rubio and the rest of them are meandering in there in the middle. None of them are really strong enough to actually keep John Kasich from getting the support of the establishment. So let's say has the air been cleared for an establishment player? And if you had to choose between Kasich, Rubio, and what's my other guy? Jeb is not in there.
Christie.
If you had to choose between those three, which one do you think would emerge as the establishment player against Trump?
So we're talking Kasich, Cruz, and Rubio?
Yeah, well, Cruz. Yeah, let's throw Cruz in there. So let's drop Rubio, right? Forget Rubio. Cruz, Kasich, and Christie. Which one do you think is going to be the best establishment choice?
I think that it would probably have to be Kasich and Christie. Yeah. I just see you said Christie, right?
Yeah, Christie.
Yeah, because I think that I see Ted Cruz and Rubio for that matter, even though he's not in. I just see them and they're so religious. They take religion in on everything, and it's debilitating to them, and they base all of their policy on what would God think or something like that. Now, I think they pick and choose on what God would think on a lot of things, but that's at least what they say. I think so I think that Christie and Kasich would be the best status quo for Republicans. And I think that if Kasich can play his cards right, he can stay in the race for a couple more months now. But he really has to up his game, and he really has to be aggressive, which he hasn't been thus far. He has to make himself known, and just like Bernie Sanders, Iowa, even though he tied with Hillary there, that helped him, and that's going to continue helping him. And now that we're having New Hampshire finally come in, even though it was already basically a wrap, it's just going to help him because there's going to be more media attention on him, and there's more focus on him, and people are going to hear his name because I know for sure that a lot of people don't know who the hell Kasich is.
Actually, right along lines with that, Kasich is the #1 Googled name tonight so far. I think I saw in a Twitter feed somewhere. So
yeah, people are just going, "Who the hell is this guy?" You know?
Where did he come from?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think he can make it happen.
I think,
but he's definitely not going to win though. Let me not get that mixed up. He's not going to win. He can come in second.
Hank, let me cut you off. We have Hillary Clinton on deck. Let's listen in to him.